Hi everyone, it's Simon Keeling here at weatherweb.net. Thanks again for watching. Remember, we're kept free of charge by the adverts you see around the screen here. So when you come back and use the adverts or use the charts, that's what generates revenue that keeps weatherweb.net free of charge. So thank you for doing that. It's Sunday the 10th of February. You'll see the snow update online elsewhere, but I've been getting lots of messages from many of you asking when this horrible cold, wet, winter type weather is going to be over and when we could see the first sign of spring. Many of you farmers have been asking that question because of course we're into lambing season, and also many of you want to get out and get some proper full days out on the land, but this weather is causing some problems. So this forecast is tuned for you. I'll try and give you some good news if I can, but unfortunately it doesn't look that brilliant. This is the total rainfall chart for this week. So this is the rainfall chart for the week ahead from the GFS model. It ends at 6 o'clock on Monday morning, and it takes us through at that time. And you can see how most of the rainfall is here through western, central, southern parts of the country during the course of the next week, sort of 50 to 60 millimetres. So we're getting on for more than 2 inches, but less rain down these eastern coasts, but still all areas pretty unsettled. Now I want you just to note the position of the jet stream on this chart. You notice it through here. Look, there it is, just meandering its way through there. Notice as I run the sequence through, this is the GFS ensemble. Notice how the jet just stays over the country or to the south of the country as we go through the next few days. And then what I want you to do, there it is, look, out in the Atlantic, but it actually continues through here into the early part, into the latter part of next week and into the early part of the week after. But what I want you to do as well is to just take a look at the rainfall prediction for the whole of Europe, which is this chart here, and just watch what happens as I play the sequence through. You'll notice how the rainfall extends along the line of the jet stream. Look, it's pretty obvious to see through here. Look, the area of maximum rainfall flowing through here. That's where the jet stream is. That's where the more unsettled conditions are expected to be in the next week. Dry here across Eastern Europe, but these areas towards the west and to the south certainly much wetter than they should be for the time of year. It goes well. It's pretty cool as well across Europe. This chart down the bottom here showing us the temperature anomalies from Sunday the 10th till Sunday the 17th, so to a week today. And just look at these blue colours in here. Look, this is showing us that temperatures are going to be somewhere between 2-4 degrees Celsius below normal for many, but look at that across central parts of Europe, we're into 4 to 6 degrees Celsius below normal, so certainly cool weather. But out here across Eastern Europe, look, across much of Russia, running down into the Near East, temperatures are going to be well above normal. Now, the CFS is trying to pick out on the reasons for what's going on. So let's have a look and go forwards and see what's going to happen. This is the forecast from the CFS for week 1, taking us through to the 16th of February. Now, you do have to kind of twist your heads to see these charts, but what this is showing is above normal heights up here towards the north with high pressure up here, a deep trough down towards the south here. So this kind of maintains this idea of northern parts of Scotland being fairly cool and fairly dry, but to the south of the country staying on the wet side, and that's certainly the pattern that we're going to see. We've just seen that on the charts. Now from week 2, so running from the 17th of February, so this is taking us forward from next Sunday through to the following Saturday up to the 23rd. And you see this area here looks still of above normal heights up towards the north of the country, with high pressure kind of centred in here towards the north, a deep trough in the North Sea by then with low pressure in here. So kind of got some hints here of things trying excuse me, things trying to be more mobile through the country, but with these heights up towards the north, it's probably going to be that Scotland stays fairly dry and cool. The south of the country, the southern half of the UK and Ireland, probably stay on a colder but wetter side of things. And while these above normal heights are here up towards the north, what's happening is that the jet stream that as normal just can't do its normal path, which is to kind of bring things through the country like that. Low pressure just can't get up to the north, so it's being forced way down to the south. Now I think things are a little more sceptical as we get through into the latter part of the month, but the CFS here was trying to build the high back in to the North Sea area during the week of the 24th to the 2nd of March, and what that would do is see the winds rotating around like so. It would bring a cold, a frosty yet dry, possibly foggy end to the month, And then for the period from the 3rd of March through to the 9th of March, so this was week 4, what it did was keep the elongated heights from high pressure across Greenland. It kept the idea that high pressure would still be in there, developed a trough across the western parts of Scandinavia and in the Eastern Atlantic. So we would probably have seen a pressure pattern, a 500 millibar flow, something like that during this period, which was put high pressure up here, a big ridge through the British Isles, but would bring probably milder conditions into the country during that period. Now, I'm not convinced by that, because I think that things do still look as if they're going to turn more unsettled towards the end of the month and the early part of March. But of course, I could have made an incorrect call on this. You know, I don't have a monopoly over this being right. These are the charts from the Japanese model for the next week, taking us through to Friday. So this is taking us through to Friday the 15th, and the charts we're interested in here are the rainfall forecast charts, the anomalies. And look, for the next week we've got blue colours there across the UK. We're kind of just slightly wetter than normal, and the 500 millibar forecast here again builds the ridge in the Atlantic with the jet stream coming down there through the southern parts of the country. As far as temperatures go, well, they're cold. Look, temperatures here sort of 1 to 2 degrees below normal for the time of year. Week 2, the Japanese try to make things dry. This is kind of picking up on the idea that the CFS had here. This idea of high pressure trying to build in. I wonder if it's trying to pick up on that a little bit early. And what it does is it tries to build in that high and brings dry conditions across much of the country during the period from next Saturday through to the following Friday. So that would be Saturday the 16th, taking us through until Friday the 22nd. And look, you can see dry conditions in there as well. As far as temperature go for that period, well, we've still got the blues over the top, so still keeping us 0 to 1 degrees normal for the time of year. Now on to the final part of the period. This is week 3 and 4, so this is taking us up to the beginning of March. And notice how the southern half of the country, look, is blue, so wetter than normal. The northern half is in the yellow, so nearer normal for the time of year. And what's interesting here is the strength of the jet stream it's bringing across the Atlantic straight through the Bay of Biscay into central parts of the country. So this is this idea of building of the southern half of the UK being generally quite wet and cool, the north tending to stay dry. And temperature forecasts look still 0 to 1 degree. So I think from this we're still building this picture of cool, unsettled conditions across much of England and Wales. The CFS seems to be out there on its own with the high building in. It's something we've got to consider, but I think it's probably out there on its own. I think this kind of cool and settled theme looks as if it perhaps is going to continue. I did think it would turn milder with temperatures returning to near normal at the end of the month, early part of March, but I now think probably we're going to stay unsettled then, and we could still see temperatures below normal for the time of year. And just to leave you with this one, this is the MJO forecast from the ECMWF seasonal model. This takes us from the 8th of February up to the 11th of March. So if we just count through the days, you can see the phases here, phase 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 of the MJO. And as we go through the sequence, what we got there, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, taking us into phase 4. So that's the 18th of February there. In phase 4 is very heavily weighted a few days after you go into it towards the positive North Atlantic Oscillation, which is a westerly flow across the Atlantic. There is evidence that a negative flow can become established, but it tends to be a cooler westerly flow, and of course it looks as if that's what it's going to take us into, with the idea of the jet stream being across the south of the country. And then if we follow it forward, we're into the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. So that period there is the 24th of February, and it takes us then into phase 5. And we tend to get left in this phase 5 look right the way through to the end of the forecast period. And phase 5 is typically almost quite nondescript. Phase 5 tends to take us into equal portions of positive and negative NAO. So I think that probably as we go through this end of March, end of February, beginning part of March, I'm going to stick with this idea of the unsettled, westerly, cool flow, probably with a jet stream overall to the south of the country. So the south stays cool and wet. Wouldn't rule out the risk of some wintry stuff. Scotland probably goes drier and frostier, with high pressure building in at times, but stays on the cool side. So I'm afraid it doesn't look like we've got much better weather on the way, and I think we're probably going to be looking at 120% of normal rainfall, something of that order. And I also think that we're probably going to be looking at temperatures of 1 to perhaps 2 degrees Celsius below normal for the time of year by the time we're into the early part of March. So it's not great, I'm afraid, for those of you who want to get out in the fields and do some stuff. It's not great for the rest of us because it is going to be feeling pretty chilly, and it's going to be pretty unsettled and fairly dull as well. All we need to watch for really is to see if the CFS continues to maintain this idea of high pressure building in, although it is kind of out there on its own at the moment, particularly when you're looking at the seasonal output here from the ECMWF seasonal model, which kind of hints that actually we stay in this cool and westerly flow across the south, cool but dry towards the north. The jet stream shifted way further south for the time of year than you would normally expect. So I'm afraid not great news, but hopefully it gives you some idea, it enables you to plan a little bit further ahead, and hopefully that's been useful for you. So remember that the site's kept free of charge by the adverts you see around the screen, by you coming back and using the site. That's what keeps it free of charge. So for now, thank you for watching and keep the sun shining. Bye for now.